Hi, Stoughton writers. How are you? Welcome back. I hope that you have been journaling in your journal. I can't wait to read all of the writing that you have been doing and that you've been sharing with your teachers. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about another option on your menu, which is writing a how-to. So when you're writing in your journal, something that you might like to try out is to write a how-to for someone. I'm sure that you've been doing plenty of things at home that you could either teach someone how to do or you could explain how to do that. And lots of kids are learning new things, including myself. I'm not a kid, but I'm learning lots of new things while being at home. So I bet there's something new that you've learned that you could also write a how to and teach someone how to do. So the first step in writing a how to is asking yourself, what are some things that I know how to make or things that I know how to do? I asked myself that question, and I was thinking a lot about some of the things that we've been doing and making while being home. One thing that you could write about, things you can make, something that you've built or something that you've been building. We've done some Legos since we've been home, so that might be a good option if you've been building with Legos or other materials. Maybe you've built something out of cardboard boxes, and you could teach someone how to build a cardboard box town. Another thing that you might be making is crafts. There are lots of crafts that you could talk about how to do so that you could teach someone else how to do one of the crafts that you've done. Another thing you could do, and we've been making a lot, is try new recipes or food. We've been making banana bread, we've been making French toast, lots of breakfast foods that we've been making and trying new recipes for now that we have time while we're home. Some things that you've been doing, maybe you've played a game, a new game, and you could teach someone else how to play that game. You could teach how to learn online to someone. Maybe you play a sport and you've been practicing in your backyard. Maybe you could teach someone how to score a goal in soccer. If you're doing a how-to on a sport, you want to kind of narrow down your topic. So what's one thing about that sport that you could teach your reader how to do? Another how-to idea would be how to set up a home learning space. I had to do that recently. I had to take down a desk from my attic and put it back together and create a home office for myself. So those are some things that you've been maybe making or doing, and you could write a how-to for that. So here's how you write a how-to. The first thing in a how-to is you need to think about what materials you might use for a how-to. So what do you need to gather before you're ready to complete your activity? Another thing you need to include in a how-to for your reader is the steps. It's very important that you get these steps in order. Otherwise, your reader won't know how to complete your how-to activity. You might use words like first, next, or last. Some of those order words to help you with your how-to. Another thing that you could include in your how-to is images. Especially in a how-to, you could include drawings or photographs so your reader can help visualize what it's supposed to look like at the end. Sometimes I think of things that I see on Pinterest and it looks beautiful at the end, but then when I make it, it's not so beautiful. But the pictures really help to get me a clear image and a picture of what it should look like at the end. You might also give some helpful tips to your reader, some lessons that you might have learned. Maybe it took you multiple tries to build something or do something, so you've maybe got some tips that you could share with your reader so they don't make the same mistakes as you. And if you give tips, it could also save them a little bit of trouble. So make sure that you're including helpful tips in your how-to as well. The next thing when you're writing a how-to is you really want to think about all the nonfiction text features that you've learned about in school. I know that you have so much knowledge about nonfiction text features. Here's the place where you could add in some of those text features to help your reader. Some of the text features that I was thinking about are definitely labels. You might be drawing pictures, or you might even take a picture and use a picture in your writing, but it would be really helpful to have a label so that you know what pieces you might need or where certain things go. If you might be putting together furniture, sometimes it's helpful to have labels on the picture so you know what goes where. You might also think about some key words. If you're cooking, there are some words that are very specific to recipes that you would need to know. So you might even put those in bold, or you might italicize them so your reader knows what to expect and knows that this is a word that has to do with your topic. One other thing to include that I was thinking of how-tos, these are just some text features you can include, is diagrams. I think about if I'm putting together something or if I'm doing a craft, sometimes it's helpful to have a diagram with labels that shows me how things work and how things might go together. One important step when you're writing a how-to is revision. This is one type of writing that you're probably going to have to make a lot of revisions for, because if you forget one little detail, it could all go wrong. I think about a video that I recently saw about a dad making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the kids were giving him steps, but they were leaving out very important details, and that made the peanut butter and jelly sandwich all go wrong. So revision is going to be important. And part of that revision process is thinking and asking someone to act out, or maybe you're acting out your steps, or a sibling might be acting out your steps. Ask someone to do your how-to and see if they end at your end goal for your writing. If you're missing some details, you might need to go back and revise to make sure that your reader knows every single step in your how-to. So this is how you would go about writing your how-to and some things that you might include in your how-to. I went on a little hunt around our house and I picked up some things that I found that were how-tos, and I didn't even really think about them as how-tos until I started thinking about my writing. So let me show you what I found. I talked about how you might play a game, and that could be considered a how-to. Maybe you write out the directions of a game. We've been playing this math game. It's called Tiny Polka Dot. It comes in a box with a bunch of cards. And when I was going through the cards, I realized that there are directions in here, and those directions are a how-to. Let me see if I can find one to show you one. Oh, here's one. So this is a how-to. It tells me how many players, tells me what age it's for. It tells me what I need to set up and what cards I need to pull. And then it tells me how to play. I see that there are some pictures included here, and that would really help me, and it did help me learn how to play the game so that I knew what to do. And I see down here it says ideas for future games, so it also gives some like maybe tips and suggestions for future play. So that was one how-to that I found in my house. Let me show you another how-to. Maybe you're thinking about writing a how-to about a recipe. I have been making banana bread. I think I mentioned that to you before. So this is the recipe that we use to make a banana bread. We actually use a mix. Sometimes we make it from scratch, but we've been using this mix, and I realized that this is a how-to. It has numbers and labels and pictures, and it very clearly states what materials that I'll need. It also kind of gives me a tip down here. It says makes 12 servings. So that's a good tip. So I know how many people might be able to eat my banana bread. I also noticed that we have how-to books in our house. This one's a silly one. It doesn't really technically teach us how to eat pizza, but it is a how-to book. And the characters are all the pizza slices in here, and they try to convince us not to eat them. So this how to eat pizza book is something that is a how-to in our home. Another thing that I found was a how-to building one. So I'm sure that some of you like to play with Legos, or maybe you've been building with Legos. I realized that this Lego direction kit is actually a how-to. Step 1, and it shows me in pictures. So something else that I'm thinking about with how-tos is not all of the how-tos maybe have words in them. Maybe I could use the pictures to show my reader how to do each step. Oh, wow. And as I flip through here, I really see that, these diagrams here are very helpful for knowing what pieces I'll need for this step. And then they show me bit by bit by bit how to place and put these pieces together so that I can end up with my end product. This one happens to be, I think it's a bumblebee. Oh. Yeah, this one happens to be this cool guy here. Okay, I have one more how-to that I want to show you. We were drawing, and I realized I had this book, and my kids have been using this book to learn how to draw things, and these are how-tos as well. It's how to draw different animals or people or characters using shapes. So we did this how-to the other day, and it was how to draw a dog. And it showed me step by step by step by step how to draw this puppy dog. So that was really helpful that they showed me in pictures. So as you're thinking about writing how-tos, I want to show you one more example of a how-to. And I'm going to show you some of my writing. So hold on one second. So I mentioned before, I'm going to make myself a little bit small here. I mentioned before in one of my videos that I taught my 6-year-old how to make French toast. So I thought I could write down that recipe and use that as a how-to in my journal. So I've been keeping a digital journal and I've been keeping a paper journal. So if you're keeping a digital journal, you could think about doing this in Google Slides or a Google Doc, because I like to add pictures from Google, or I might take pictures and add them in. Or you could do this on a piece of paper as well. So let me show you 2 different ways that I wrote this how-to. I made sure that I had a materials list so people would know what to get ready. I had a title that says how to make French toast. And then I added step-by-step, very simple directions so that everybody would know how to make French toast. So that's one way you could write a how-to. Let me show you another way. So this is a way that you could do it on paper. Again, I did this on the computer and then put it on different Google Slides, but you could also do this page by page, and you could put one step on each page. So as you're thinking about writing your how-to, you might want to plan it across the pages. Step 1, add the egg, vanilla, and cinnamon in a bowl. Whisk it well. And I underline this word because that was one of those special words or vocabulary words that might come up that I mentioned before in cooking. So you can see I have my pictures and I have a whisk. Step 2, add the milk next and keep stirring. Step 3, now take a bread slice and dip it in the egg mixture. Make sure the mix coats both sides of the bread slice as well. That was a tip and suggestion because I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that you had to put the mix on the front and the back of the bread. Step 4, melt butter in a non-stick pan. Step 5, place the bread in the pan and cook until it turns golden brown on both sides. And step 5, eat and enjoy. We like ours with yummy maple syrup. And that's how you make French toast, or that's how we made French toast. Maybe you might make it a different way. Think about my writing, and I wonder if there's anything else I could add to it to help my reader. When you're done today watching this video, I want you to go around your house and think about something that you could write a how-to for. I hope that you're able to teach your reader something that you've either made or something that you've done so that we can learn from you. All right, bye, Stoughton Writers. See you soon.